So at this point, are you getting a handle on your opening day lineup and your rotation and all that, or are you still fine-tuning that?
Yeah, I haven't necessarily thrown it all down on paper yet as far as exactly what it's gonna look like. Now that we've exchanged rotations with the other universities, it's definitely gonna help out, understanding the right matchup. So as we're digging into our opponents a lot this week, up until this week, a lot of our focus has just been sticking within ourselves and where do we need to make our games. And so now this week, busting out all of our resources to make sure we know who we're going up against and what are the best matchups and what's their style of ball. I think it can change year to year, so you go into these games with an idea, but also prepared to make adjustments. That's the beauty of college athletics. Guys make huge jumps. Look what Cooper Jerpy did over the 3 years that he was here. His numbers as freshman versus sophomore, and then his junior year were like vastly different, right? So this week, a lot of scouting reports start put together, but I think we have a good idea of where we're going to be going. Sellers is going to be taking the ball game 1, and then Komatz will take the ball game 2. We know that, and then really, everybody's just. I think you get to that last week and everyone's pretty sick of practicing. They want to go play against someone else. So as we discussed as a group, there's a couple different buckets you can be in. You can be the guy that's nervous for the first game because you haven't prepared. You can be the guy that's nervous for the first game just because butterflies and how excited you are. And you can start to fall into a lull that last week of just boredom because all you want to do is go compete against someone else. You're so ready. I'm sick of waiting. And I think a lot of our guys are in that, we're ready to go compete, like, let's get on the plane now. So today and tomorrow, solid practice plan, make sure we're moving around, keeping our bodies healthy, putting some smiles on some guys' faces as well, so that, distract them from some of the other just frustrations of not playing yet today. So, but I think we're ready.
Hunter and Lowry being probables, maybe the other 2 guys.
Yeah, those are 2 good probables. Hunter's, both guys have shown that they can handle the ball from starter's role, but in game to game, we have a lot of guys in how we train that you can play kind of that Leatherman tool, kind of Ben Ferrer thought, like if, hey, I'm not finishing up this game here, I'm ready to start. It's good to have guys that are flexible like that, but as we continue our conversations, that's kind of the direction we're leaning. But we got guys like Larson as well that could be a potential starter in there, and Ian Lawson as well.
What do you like so much about Trent that you decided he's the guy to get the ball game 1?
He's got a ton of experience and he works quick. His tempo, not just his times to the plate, he gets it on the guys. He's a 1-1 to the dish. He's going to get the ball, go back up on the mound, already have an idea, strong idea, a convicted idea of what he's going to throw, and he's going to attack the hitters. He's settled in really nicely here. Komatz is also another guy that I know he wants to get the ball, but on Fridays, and he's continued to make huge jumps in his game. So it was kind of like, you really can't go wrong. You feel great about both guys. But I think Trent's tempo and his age also show a lot of being able to handle those kind of situations as well. And the guys know they're going to be in the dugout real quick when Trent takes the mound, so they're pretty fired up about him having the baseball. He doesn't say a whole lot either. He just does his job and he does it really well.
What's his makeup, like his pitches? What does he have in his
I'd say fastball command is a huge piece of it. At 90, 92, and I've seen him climb up even more. But if he's doing that right now, this early, and we're building our guys' pitch count up as well, which means as they continue to build their arm strength and endurance, you're going to see more velocity as the year goes on. But I've seen his changeup really, really good in the past. Last outing when I was squatting behind there, just warming him up, it has some good depth, and it definitely let my thumb know that it's somewhat still attached. But he's throwing a cutter, he's throwing a slider, and the cutter is something that he's been working on just to play off his fastball. He's really trying to like really separate 4 different pitches across the board at different velocities and different angles. But the main thing that he feeds off of is pummeling the zone in out, not afraid to go in, not afraid of any count. So there's this pretty fearless kind of guy, and he didn't have to say a whole lot. I mean, if you go up and watch him eat breakfast, you know, he sticks with the basics, potatoes. He's just fueling, but I think just as much as anybody, he's excited to go get the ball Friday, but he contains his emotions really well.
Outside of obviously winning, how much are you trying to accomplish this weekend, whether it's, you know, finding lineups that work well together, identifying how guys respond to adversity? Like, what are some of those other factors you're watching for this week?
Well, I was looking at the past. I mean, a lot of the young arms that go take the mound, how they go out there and let it eat. And so that second inning is going to be tough. Hopefully we're going to be able to get guys out there multiple times in a weekend on the mound. And that way, that first one, they're going to be exhausted. That first one, they're going to be throwing something extra special. And then hopefully they learn how to settle in. So more touches for the young guys. Hopefully that would be a goal of ours, is offensively we can take a lot of pressure off of our pitching by going out there and scoring a lot of runs, doing what we do. You know, we know that Minnesota's going to be throwing a guy at us that goes over 100 miles an hour, and you know, for us, that's just controlling the zone, not letting it, not chasing. If we can do that and make a guy like that has that kind of stuff have to come into the zone, I think we'll handle him just fine. But you know, really, I think we have a lot of opportunity because of our speed to switch the lineup up in the middle of the game. If guys aren't ready to rock and roll right out the gate, there are other guys that are itching to take their spot. But we do have a lot of veteran leaders with Forrester and Bazana and how they want to go about it. Casper's been working extremely hard as well. Tanner Smith had a lot of playing time last year, and he's excited to get behind the dish. We also see guys like Wilson Weber, who's been swinging the bat really well and very physical and starting to find his own. I mean, he's kept the running game in check against all of our speed because of his arm strength. So I think we have options at every position. We have some guys like Dallas Macias that you may see him in the infield, you may see him in the outfield, but you know you're going to see him hit. So, and he's handled it. I even told him, like, have you ever played outfield? He goes, no. I said, well, we're going to keep focusing on the infield, and then occasionally throw you out there and see how you handle it. And he goes out there, and it's as if he's done it his whole life. He just has a knack for going and getting the baseball.
Can he play center?
That was thrown out last week. We were talking in the office, like, hey, what if he runs out there? Do you think he can handle it? I don't think there's a spot on the field that he's not going to own up and go do. It's similar to Garrett Forrester. I watched Garrett take ground balls at second, shortstop, third base, was shagging balls in center and left. You know, and Garrett always walks by with a catcher's glove and goes, "You ready for me to go back?" I just take it easy, big fella. But the exciting part from those guys is that they just want to do whatever it takes and whatever needed. And they're very confident in everything that they do, which leads to their success. So, you know, we do have a lot of young, youth, a lot of speed, and it's just paying very close attention to their body language and how they're going to handle the different situations of the game. I think the one, like, first through sixth inning are one thing, but then of course the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning are always big things. It amplifies a little bit more for some, and hopefully we can distract them enough. And usually when the game rolls around, they don't need a head coach breathing down their neck. That's why we work so hard at practice all the time, and I'm always on them. Try to push them really hard so that when the game comes around, they don't even worry about me, and I'll be over on the end of the dugout and looking at it from a different viewpoint. They don't need any more stress or anything like that. They need to go out and have fun and play a game.
You've mentioned multiple times this offseason just about the speed of this team. Do you envision running more and playing that style of ball, or maybe compared to last year, or are you just sticking with what you guys do?
Well, looking at last year's club, Meckler, Melton, Boyd, that whole outfield spot, Bazana, they all love to run and they love challenging each other. It became like a fun game for them, who was going to swipe more bags. And so you have to have that arrogance when you're on the bag. If you have any doubt, it ain't going to work. But there are also older guys, well, except for Travis, but Travis is an old soul. And so we have to see what comes out of them. They've had no problems running throughout the fall, and And just this last month, as we were gearing up for the season, guys get on base, they want to run. Dernedde wants to run as well. I think the situation is going to dictate that. I think pitchers every year are getting better and better at controlling the running game. Kids all across the board are getting bigger, faster, stronger. I think that the guys that we need to steal off of, the guys that are pushing above a 1.35 to the plate, those are bags that we have got to get. If guys are sub 1.3, then we're really gonna have to pick and choose our moments. We worked a lot on it, but I think that the speed can get us even more so from stolen bases, get us first to third, get us scoring from second easier, challenging the other team's defense by being on the contact play at third base. We worked a lot on tagging up even at first base. Deep fly ball, where's our positioning at so that we can advance the next 90. What I really want to see, going back to an earlier question, was our guys getting out of the box and leaving that idea of I'm a hitter and now being a base runner. After contact is made, I want him to be a base running threat. So I want to see guys getting around first base. Every hit should look like a double until the defense forces us to take a single. So that's one big thing that I'm going to be looking for these 4 games.
Mitch, how's Ferrer, what kind of a role do you envision for him?
Obviously, Ben is a little bit of everything in the best way possible. Strong, like one of our strongest competitors, and I'd say I don't put captains on anyone's chest, but that's a guy that if I did, no one would doubt it because of how he acts all day, every day. And on the field, he pushes the guys next to him because he really wants to win. Right now, unfortunately, Ben is down with mono, so we don't know. We're still, doing the test and making sure, seeing how far along it is. And we'll see how far along this takes us for it to get out of his system so we can get back throwing. But, we've gone through some of that stuff in the past, had guys that went down with mono, and sometimes it can take a while for, it to get out of the system because it can be pretty rough on your insides if you push it. So
he's definitely not gonna make this trip.
no, he's going to be down this weekend.
Yeah.
How long has it been since he's thrown the plate?
It's not that long, week and a half, but that's some of those things like when you're dealing with mono, you got to check how much is in your system, make sure that you're not overdoing it. Best thing you can do is rest, and when the season's coming on, that is the last thing that Ben wants to do. He says he feels great, and then I ask him a second time, because usually when you ask a guy the second time, they start to give you the real answer, and Ben is very adamant that he feels great. So we'll probably be testing him once a week and seeing how it's progressing, and that's the other thing is we don't know how long it's already been in his system, because he really didn't have a ton of symptoms showing, hey, I don't feel good. Came in one day and just, I'm a little under the weather, and that was about it. So
You don't really know how long he might be out?
no, not yet. I think we might have a better idea next week when we go check in again.
Do you have any other kids that will not make the trip or are sick or injured?
Well, we know that Trotsky, we already talked about that one before. He's going to be out for this season. Tyree Reed's going to be out for the season. Logan Miller out for the season. Cope still working his way back, but doesn't look like the timetable is going to work in our favor there. Ferguson, Hill. So we had quite a few guys that came in banged up, but they're part of this family. We want to make sure that we put them on a good calendar. That's one thing we're doing this week is sitting down and talking about, hey, how can we use this next 16, 18 weeks to get our body and our mind where it needs to be, so that if that's the path it takes, there's still a ton of things you can do if you're not competing this year to help the guys on the field and to help this program be successful. But we also need them to make big gains. While everyone else is out competing and maintaining, we're going to push it in the weight room where we can and use that time that they can train to make sure this time next year they're not one of the guys that aren't going to be able to go out and compete. As a parent for these guys, you want to see them go out and play, and you know how hard it is when they know they're not going to get the chance to do so this year. But But at the same time, I redshirted my freshman year, went down with a couple injuries, and hindsight looking back, it was probably one of the better things for my career because I was able to dominate the classroom and take extra credits and get after it in the weight room as well, and start to feel a little more comfortable in a different environment, 6 hours away from where I grew up. So it kind of helped ease that transition for
Was
me.
yours a shoulder that first year?
Mine,
Yeah.
a little bit of everything, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, the whole song. No, I was at a ulnar shortening TFCC tear in my wrist.
Thought it was a big head.
I-
You got it.
You and I struggle from the same disease then.
I'm sure.
Some have it a little worse than others.
Some of us never let it go.
Are there, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what have you liked out of what Turley's given you so far and just what he might bring to this team? I know he's got a lot of expectations for a true freshman.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't let a lot of that get to him. At least you can't tell if it did at all. He believes in himself. Others believe in him. We all do. But it's also because if the facilities are open 24/7, that guy's gonna go hit. He's the kind of guy that's gonna go make his own cold tub and jump in it. He's gonna elevate his legs when he needs to. He sticks to his process almost better than anyone I've ever been around. The way he eats, you see him outside of the clubhouse where, early for stretch, and he's got a gallon of milk sitting there, and he's like, yeah, just putting on some good calories, just chugging a gallon of milk. Hopefully not all at once, but we've seen that challenge go wrong. But he takes care of his body. He pays attention to his nutrition. He pays attention to what he's listening to. He pays attention to what he's saying. You watch him run around the outfield. He smiles. I think he uses his smile as a way to lift others around him, and also as a way to take off some of the pressure on himself. Everyone can sit around and say, what is he supposed to do? But he's come in and embraced every challenge. I'm going to work on driving the baseball more, making sure that I'm balanced, making sure that I'm ready to go hit. So when he goes up to the cages, he's working on off speed, hitting that stuff and driving it, recognizing it. I just saw him, a couple of days ago, we were doing bunting, and he made a huge jump in his bunting game. This is a guy who probably didn't bunt for 18 years of his life, but he still wants to work on it because he knows there might be a situation where I can help move a runner across the plate. So he's kind of a sponge to all around him. He's got good wheels, got an arm. He has all those tools, no doubt about it. But
Power?
very much. So yeah, I feel bad for people that park in left field. One car got it 3 times in a row, all from him. And I don't really want to say that because now the person who got hit 3 times probably knows who to go to now. But it's a bad idea to park anywhere around the field from 1 o'clock till 3:30, especially when he's hitting.
He's got pretty good personality, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah. Him and Zana are probably
Him,
both your
Mazana,
years.
Talt, there's a lot of character out there. And there's also the strong, quiet type. Jacob Craig, about as easygoing as it gets. You never heard him complain. He's just a big bear, and he hits balls hard. And that might be a fun little infusion into the bullpen at some point this year too.
How are you feeling just about the progress that's been made with your returners as far as preparing those guys for bigger roles or new roles?
Well, you don't want to, don't want to necessarily put a bigger load that they have to carry. Hey, now you got to be a leader. Now you got to do this. Garrett Forster walked in as a leader his freshman year. Right? He believed himself. If anything, what you don't want is a guy starting to say, oh, now I got to just focus on all these other things. Just keep taking care of your job. Do what you do, and things are going to work out. But a lot of those older guys, I think, like Ben Ferreira has naturally been who he always is. Once he got comfortable here and started meeting everybody, he's been in a great spot. Brownie, he knows his role, going to be coming out of the pen, finishing up games. He's excited for that. Boisvert, also excited to come out of the pen, whatever it takes. I haven't noticed guys needing to go above and beyond, but there has been a lot of, when I was a freshman, how was I treated what are some big takeaways that I wish other people would have given to me? And so I do notice a lot of our older guys are pouring into our freshmen a lot more. Just kind of taking them aside, whether they're at breakfast or living together, or taking them out and spending some time together away from the field. I've noticed quite a bit more of that. And our freshmen, especially in the fall, I try to meet with them just to get them up to speed. I guess the more they're around me, they can feel a little bit more comfortable. I don't want guys to wait till their junior year to come out of their shell. So we're pouring a lot more time into our younger guys, and I found that all of our upperclassmen, maybe even sophomores, juniors, seniors, they're all very aware. They're all very interested in helping those guys out, get acclimated. So it's I think our freshmen have done a really good job. Like Aiden Jimenez has come a long way. I can see that kid throwing some innings this year. AJ Hutchison, sidearm guy who, it's not high velo, but he's very confident. He wants the baseball, and it's a little funky. He might be another guy that eats up some innings this year too. So I give a lot of credit to the upperclassmen for making those guys feel comfortable.
Is that kind of what you want your program to be about, is those older guys being involved in with the younger guys like that?
Love that. I think it's important, and then not only that, like if there's recruits around, all of our guys are very interested. They care about who's going in that clubhouse with them, and so in order to, and they all know, we have a lot of different things that we cover, but they all know in order for us to win, we have to do it together, and there can be no weak link. A lot of times at practice, when something doesn't go right and I get mad, it's usually because small mistakes were made, and typically from some of the younger guys. So I don't get mad a ton during practice. It's just teaching moments. Can't get mad at the whole when a young guy who hasn't done this before is just struggling with it. Coach him up, get better. If anything, I get madder at the older guys. I try to push them to lead by example and to also take them aside and teach them. If you're doing PFP work and you got 14 pitchers off to the side trying to get through a line on that, by the time each guy's gone through 3 reps, you've used up enough time. So you can't just use the reps that you're on the field. When, Jaron Hunter makes a mistake on one or learns something new on first and third pop-ups down the line where his position needs to be, he needs to circle back around and talk to Nelson Keljo. He needs to talk to Jimenez. He needs to talk to all those other guys to make sure they know what they're doing. So then, if it happens again and again, then I do get a little upset.
When you kind of look at it, I know you talk a lot about your versatility, and I imagine you have some things undecided. A couple years ago, I used to always mess with you about, I think you started 29 different lineups over the first 29 games. Last year was a lot more settled and consistent. Do you envision this year being more like 2 years ago with your lineup, or more like last year?
I'd like for it to be a little more like last year.
Yeah.
Last year there were some, those are guys in the lineup that just said, no one's taking my spot, I'm gonna go out there and play, and they continued to prove it every day. The reason for last year's lineup was because they made it happen. They wouldn't allow me to, because they just went out there and performed every day. And even when there was a slight struggle, you didn't see the disbelief or worry in their eyes, so I didn't either. I feed a lot of body language and how they carry themselves. Where it has happened in the past, I'm paying attention to them, and it's like, if you want to start, it's on you.
Yeah, take it.
The lineup takes care of itself. And so when you have guys that are ready to go out and perform every day, I think it's going to handle itself. I won't have to do a whole lot. You can see it from them. And I'm not necessarily the one that goes out and watches batting practice the day of and says, it's going to be a tough day, we're going to make a switch, unless it's really drastic. Because there are some guys, Darwin always talked about, he took terrible BP. But you knew that guy was going to go out there and perform every day. I could take great BP and stink every time I got in the box of the game. Everyone's different, but it's more so, I trust guys to prepare the right way. If you're always preparing all fall, early this winter, Micah McDowell has worked his butt off on defense, and he hasn't bobbled one stinking ball. Dernedde, immaculate defense. The other day, both those guys bobbled a ball in one of our scrimmages. Micah up against the fence, it was actually Dernedde was hitting, Dernedde takes third, Dernedde bobbles the ball, and everyone's like, oh man, Canham's gonna be upset. And after the scrimmage is over, I go, hey, Mike, are you worried about that bobble? Because I'm disappointed I didn't make the play for the guys, but I ain't worried about it. Dernedde, you upset? No, I'll make the next one, I know that. I said, well, there you go, and then I'm not mad. Because I watch these guys day in and day out. Like, you don't take hundreds and hundreds of ground balls and challenge yourself. And Dernedde's out there in batting practice, and when the guy takes his fifth swing and gets out of the box, like he runs out there wherever the ball's at and works on his positioning on cuts and relays. Who does that? You know, he wants to make sure he's there. He wants to make sure he's being more vocal, just small things like that. And so it's been fun to watch them take that leadership. I have a lot of confidence in Kyle Dernedde to go out there and play every day.
What are you looking at third base? You got some candidates there.
Some good candidates. Mason Gore has been doing a good job securing the baseball. Obviously, when he swings that bat how he can create a lot of damage. Mikey Kane is also another guy that is ready to play both left side and midfield positions. Also secures the baseball well. And for most of those guys, it's just ball control after that, playing catch the right way. And then I'm not gonna lie to you, man, Garrett Forrester is gonna try to find a way to be anywhere and everywhere. So moving guys around. I mean, we've intentionally on days put 3 or 4 guys at a position to create competition. Sometimes when you're there by yourself, how many guys want to go take ground balls next to Travis Pizzana and think that, like, okay, I got a chance to play here. You know who does? Dallas Macia's like, I'll go take ground balls. Let's do it. You never know, because we also know that Travis can go in the outfield. Macias can go play in the outfield. What if on a given day the best guy at third base is Garrett? Who's going to play first? Jacob Craig? Wheeler? Casper? I mean, there's a lot of opportunities in there. So it's just mixing it in, and you never know when you're going to have to pinch hit or pinch run for someone, and having the availability for that to happen is a good problem for us to have. So I'm excited to see which lineup gets posted first. Right? It'll probably happen the day of, but you know, there's something to be told. I'm also trying to train these guys, like, don't worry, you don't need to know the night before. You don't even necessarily need to know before batting practice. Just go prepare. Take care of the moment. The moment takes care of itself. It's the guys that get caught up in it that need to know the day before. For what? Are you going to train differently? Are you going to sleep less that way? You need to get over it. Because sometimes, like, the most important guy is the guy who didn't start the game but comes in the second inning because someone went down or wasn't acting the right way. Are you ready to play then? Are you ready to play at any given moment? So I'm trying to train that in these guys, and I think we've been doing that over the last several years.
Hey Kyle, so many new faces this year, so much turnover. How would you assess where the team is at? And you know, when we're almost to the eve of the opener, how are you feeling about where things stand with everything?
Yeah, I feel great. You know, like you mentioned, a lot of new faces, a lot of turnover, but also a lot of talent, a lot of hard work. I mean, these are 2 examples, 2 new guys. You got more of a veteran and more of a young guy, both extremely hard workers, extremely talented ball players that are in the right spot. You know, we had a good fall, good winter, and I think we're really excited to get going and improve what we can do on the field together.
What do you like most about this team, or what trait do you like most about this group so far?
So far, I just love our work ethic, and I love the team chemistry that we have on the field. We're able to go out and play and hold each other accountable in practice and scrimmages, and work in the weight room after practice. It all translates, and it's contagious without the group.
For Ruben and Gavin, how exciting has it been to come in and compete for roles right away in your first year in the program?
It's been very exciting. At the start, I just came in and it was a little uncomfy at first, but the guys like Dernedde and Tanner Smith and Garrett Forster, they're really welcoming. And so it felt more comfortable sooner rather than later. I thought it was going to take a lot more time. And yeah.
I was just telling Ruben in the room, I was just like, we leave Thursday, like, it's exciting, like, this is crazy, and just even thinking that I have the chance to play and really compete and have an impact on this team this year is beyond me, and I can't be more grateful for that. So
Gavin, how much have the older guys played a part in helping you improve along the way?
For sure, especially guys like Dirty over here. Like I've probably asked him, hey, is this as cool as it gets? Probably 20, 30 times now, you know, just messing around, but really making me feel welcome, making me feel comfortable, kind of guiding me through the process has been huge for not only me, but every single young guy here.
As a vet, I mean, you know what it's like to come in as a freshman and deal with that transition and you know, play in big moments. How would you assess each of these guys? What do you like out of them so far?
I mean, I think they're both going to come in and have impacts right away. It's funny thinking back to my freshman year, how, you know, we got 12 games in before the whole season shut down, so there's a lot of adversity to go through there, and then the whole next year, just trying to earn and compete for a spot year after year. So these guys both have amazing opportunities to come in and have huge impacts for our team, and they're both incredible teammates, so I'm really excited for what they have to prove on the field come Thursday.
Gavin, going down to Arizona to open up the season, obviously your home state, you have a big support system there, family, friends.
Yeah, for sure. Most of my high school teammates will be back there and watching, so yeah.
Kyle, how are you feeling about the progress being made as far as the newcomers being ready for new or bigger roles this season?
I'm really excited about the progress. I mean, obviously with losing Boydo and Melton and Meckler out in the outfield and a couple arms, there's, like you mentioned, a lot of shoes to fill. But I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. I think we have a really talented group. Yeah, I'm excited.
And how about just for you individually, how did you kind of attack the off season, knowing that, you know, there's a bigger role out there for you?
I attacked the offseason that I was going to come in and be a leader on and off the field. I was able to put my work in over the summer so that I was ready to go over the fall to have a positive impact on my teammates and continue to work hard. Yeah.
How would you describe the offense? Like what will be the lineup strengths, would you say?
Speed is going to be a huge strength. We have a ton of speed, guys that are just going to hit. I think we're going to produce a lot offensively, 1 through 9. So, and even guys coming off the bench, pinch hitting, there's going to be a lot of offensive weapons for us this year.
Do you get a sense maybe compared to past seasons, are there more positions up for grabs, like because of all the versatility and newness, or do you feel like most things are settled as you kind of near this opening weekend?
I think there's maybe a little bit of a mix of both. I think we have so many guys that can play and are going to have the opportunities to get out there and make an impact that we have a lot of versatility with the lineup that we can, you know, mix things up depending on our opponent or guys that can come in and have an impact. But I mean, we just got athletes this year. We got a lot of guys that can play baseball. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there.
If I could get all three to answer, like last year, kind of asked guys, you know, who's their least favorite pitcher to hit through fall and through practice. It was almost universally Cooper Jerby, but if each of you could tell me who's your least, when you step up there, who you least want to face on the staff?
I think this fall for me, just because I faced him a lot, was K-Max. I think he has, I guess in the winter now, he's had 4 different pitches and he can land them all. So just having all 4 pitches in your head as a hitter is not easy to start. So, and then I guess I've faced Trent a couple times, not too many times. He struck me out a couple times too. So he's also one of the top guys that pretty difficult to face.
I'd say Ben Ferrer, just unhittable slider, I'd say, and just not a fun at bat when he's up there competing like he competes.
Yeah, I think for me it'd be probably Trent as well. He's really competitive on the mound, and he's going to go and challenge you and locate his pitches and mix them on you. So
Sounds like he might open or start the opener. What do you like? How would you characterize his what makes him suited to be, you know, the staff ace or to be ready to take that ball on Fridays?
His mentality. He's able to just go out there and compete, locate all of his pitches, and trust in the defense behind him. He's got experience at all different kinds of collegiate baseball levels. and has had success at each one of those levels. So I think he's going to be able to be a big arm for us this year.
Ruben, can you kind of just speak to the transition coming in from a JUCO to Oregon State? Because obviously, Trent's coming in from a lower level too, and is picking up a big role early. Sounds like you're going to have a role. Like, what is that transition like? Has it been smooth? Because, obviously, if you're competing right away, it seems like it's gone pretty well.
Yeah, no, it was pretty smooth. I think that the coaching staff helped a lot because at Lynn Benton, PD is basically the same as every head coach. Every coach we have here, they're all boys. So I think like being coached the same way helped a lot. And then again, like all the older guys that were here and that have been here for a couple of years, it was very welcoming. And so I went out there and I had the mindset that I was going to play this year, and that's all that I left it at. And just did what I needed to do and trust the process, and here we are.
Sounds like you kind of crushed it in the fall. Did that kind of boost your confidence, kind of settle in, let you know you belong, sort of thing?
It did. I worked on some mindset things, I guess, that I haven't really had in the past, and it also helped with the confidence. And then going out there and having early success in the fall off our pitchers just boosted that even more, and then I just kept it going. It was a really good fall.
How would you describe the playing style of this guy sitting next to you?
I think he needs to still be goofy. I think when he's goofy, he's going to play a lot better than when he's trying to act serious, and we've talked about that before because he's tried both, I guess, in the fall, and most success is when he's himself and more comfortable when he's himself instead of trying to be someone else or trying to be someone that we as a group or coaches want him to be. So I think there's a little mix of both. Obviously, you don't want him to be goofing around all the time, but I think if he's just himself, he's going to be very good for us in the spring.
Why are you trying to be serious, Gavin? What's up with that?
I don't know, man.
You want to leave center fielder at Lynn Benton?
I was. For my last year, I started out as a first baseman, kind of all over the place.
You think that's what you play here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Anything else?
In all seriousness, though, were you trying to, be professional, so to speak, or are you just trying out different stuff?
I'd say like on the field, like when he says goofy, it's just like not taking it too seriously. It's a game, we've been playing it our whole lives. We started playing it because we love it. So like as soon as I take it too seriously on the field, that's when things kind of go downhill, I could say. For me, that's what I found. But off the field, I'm a goofy kid, but I also can feel like I can turn it on and be professional when I need to be. So, but on the field, it's a relax, kind of let it eat.
Gotcha.